Formato. Welcome to Connected, and as always, I've got him, this guy over here, Willie Fats. Yep. Willie Fats is with us, of course, and we are continuing on with our fun facts about American gangsters.
Yes.
And so today we are going to take a look at Bonnie Elizabeth Parker. Bonnie Parker. And of course, you know, for those of you who just don't recognize her name by Bonnie Parker, we can tell you that her partner in crime was Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde, right? So we're going to talk about Bonnie Parker. And of course, you know, in order to talk about her, you have to talk about Clyde.
Right. Because without him, there would be no her, and vice versa.
So anyway, Bonnie Parker was born in October 1st, actually, 1910, and she died May 23rd, 1934. So she had a short life.
24 years.
24 years. And you know, Bonnie and Clyde were mostly known for their bank robberies. These crazy ass bank robberies that they were doing.
Oh yeah.
But for the most part, you know, they really did a lot of
crazy stuff.
Well, they did do that, yeah, but they did a lot of crazy stuff. They robbed small stores and gas stations. They did a lot of that, and that gave them
money to stay on the run.
Yeah. So Bonnie was a tough chick, man. She quit high school at 15, married some dude, and went off to have a life. So, but what happened was the guy that she married, you know, was a criminal too.
Yeah, he ended up going to jail.
He went to jail. So when he went to jail, in 1929, he went to jail in 1929. That was pretty much the end
of that marriage.
So that marriage was over. And one of the cool things is, I think, kind of like a cool fact about Bonnie. Why are you looking at me like that for?
Because I'm curious on what fact you're talking about.
She never divorced the guy.
Right.
Right up until the day she died, she stayed married to him. But she was never with him. She never seen him again. She never did anything. But she always wore her wedding ring, never took it off. And when someone asked her, how come you just don't divorce the guy? She said, well, that just wouldn't be right to divorce him when he was in jail.
Right.
So, you know, she was like a stand-up kind of chick. You know, she was willing to, like, you know, wait it out, you know,
But that guy never got out of prison, though, before she got killed.
No, he was still in prison when she got killed. So, you know,
divorce never happened.
Never happened.
And that's funny you bring that back up, because a lot of people, when you hear Bonnie and Clyde, you think of them two being married, blah, blah, blah. So that's a cool fact to know that she was actually married to somebody else.
Yeah, so, you know, she got married, got separated, I guess is the right word to choose. And then she went and lived with her mother for a while, and she was a waitress. And one of the things that she did when she was a waitress, she had a customer that would come into her little diner or whatever it was back then, and his name was Ted Hinton. And Ted
actually was one of the guys that took her down.
He actually was. He's the guy. He joined the Dallas Police Department in 1934 to go and get her. So her everyday customer that would flirt with her back and forth
That's funny.
Was part of her demise. So that was him. One of the things Bonnie did, she wasn't very happy. She was kind of like a lonely girl, but she also wrote poetry. One of her poems was the story of Suicide Sal, and then the other one was The Trail's End. That was the name of her poem, The Trail's End. And that was more commonly known as the story of Bonnie and Clyde. So her poem kind of wrote the tale of how her life was going to end. How crazy is that?
That's crazy.
That's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What do you think about this chick, Bonnie, man?
Well, from all the research I've done and everything we've talked about, unless we have some other chick on this show, she's probably the toughest, baddest chick I know so far, hands down.
Hands down, unequivocally.
We'll get into all of it.
Well, we're gonna do a lot of talking about. We're gonna do a lot of talking about Bonnie because let me tell you,
man,
she was tough as nails.
Yeah.
So, they did a movie about Bonnie and Clyde. Warren Beatty was in the movie, and they just made them. Obviously they made them look like bank robbers with machine guns.
Right.
And all that kind of stuff. But they also glamorized them and made them into lovers, and so they became like the heartfelt couple of America. There, the gangsters of America that everybody wanted to love.
Right.
It was a little bit crazy.
I know when you brought this up yesterday and you said that there was a movie, man, it took me a while last night to find that movie.
Really?
It took a while. Like, it's not one of those movies out there that just pop up everywhere, but when I finally found it, now.
Well, the movie was called Bonnie and Clyde. It was directed by Arthur Penn and starred Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. That movie was filmed in 1967.
Yeah.
So,
it was good up until I fell asleep, so I got to finish the end of the movie tonight. But it was really
wasn't
good.
Bad, right? So we're gonna like go back and forth here, folks, between Bonnie and Clyde now. Pardon the pun. But Clyde did a lot of little things. He was a safe cracker. He cracked safes. He robbed gas stations. He robbed stores. At a young age. And so he was sent to Eastern Prison Farm, and while he was in prison, he retaliated against another inmate because the other inmate had made repeated sexual assaults towards him. Well, so Clyde was a young kid. He was 21 years old. He took a lead pipe, and crushed the guy's skull. Killed him.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do. And that was his first killing. And another inmate who was already serving a life sentence took the blame.
Man, it's just crazy. And it's probably one of those guys that were like, I'm here for life kind of deal. I mean, why not? You get out, I'll take the blame kind of deal. There are people today that are like that.
So check this out. Clyde's mother was petitioning to get him paroled from jail. He was having a hard time. He was a young kid. He's in jail, right?
Yeah.
So what he didn't know was that she was close to becoming successful. He didn't want to have to do hard labor out in the fields. So what do you think he did?
I'm assuming if he didn't want to do that, he probably found a way to get the hell out.
Well, what he did is he had one of the other inmates chop off 2 of his toes with an axe. So he didn't have to go and work out in the fields. How crazy is this guy, man?
Chopped off 2 of his toes.
He had the other inmate chop off 2 of his toes so he didn't have to go and work hard labor out in the fields.
That's crazy.
So what's even more crazy about that? 6 days later, after he chopped off his toes, his mother got him paroled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so for the rest of his life, which wasn't that much longer,
He
folks.
had to walk with a limp.
He did walk with a limp.
Now, back then, I'm assuming they didn't have telephones back then, or it was one of them.
Well, yeah, they pretty much had the telephones back then. But it wasn't
in
like...
1920, they had phones already?
It was 1930, but it wasn't, they weren't the kind of phones that, you go and you push buttons, Will. They were...
No, they were...
Well, some of them still had the old crankers, but most of them, were doing dials at that time. They would pick up the receiver and dial the phone, maybe phone. Hey, folks, if you know anything about phones back in 1930,
hey, let us know.
Let us know, right? And what else do we want everybody to do, Will? Before we get any further to the show, we're going to stop right here. And first of all, we want to thank everyone that's been subscribing to us. We love you all, and we want you to keep on sending us all those notifications.
And we're loving your comments. Keep
your
them
comments
coming.
are great.
Oh yeah, we're enjoying every bit of it.
And
for sure.
and we got some surprises coming up for you women that are out there too. So stay in touch with us. And what do we want them to do, Will?
Man, you gotta like, subscribe, turn on your notifications because you don't want to miss an episode. We got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, and you can also email us at connectedwithlarry@gmail.com.
Yep.
And Will's going to do this right across the screen. Watch this. Connectedwithlarry@gmail.com.
Correct.
Pretty good. You do that pretty good, Will.
I try.
So what do we want everybody to do? One more time, and then we're going to get back to Bonnie and Clyde.
Like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Again, you don't want to miss anything. Don't forget to email us if you have any questions, any topics you want, any gangsters we may not know about. Connected@larry@gmail.com or send us a call.
Get it right. How long you been doing this?
Connected with Larry.
That's right, with Larry@gmail.com.
Or you can give us a call at 941-244-9392.
No.
That is.
2392.
It's 2392.
Yeah, well, you just said 9493. Which one is it? Get it right.
941-244-2392.
Are you gonna put that dot?
Dot.
So back to Clyde. Clyde's favorite weapon. What do you think it was?
Tommy gun probably in that day, or was the Tommy gun not out yet?
Oh, it was out.
Could be some kind of big rifle, because then they had big rifles back then too.
Yeah, man. It was a M1918 Browning automatic rifle, commonly referred to as a BAR.
BAR.
And that thing was a badass gun, let me tell you. So that was Clyde's favorite weapon, and he used it pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he wasn't like Machine Gun Kelly, huh? He could actually hit something.
he actually, if he wanted to shoot you, you were getting shot.
Dead.
Yeah. So Clyde got out of jail on parole. But before that, he did something a little spectacular.
Yeah.
He had his girl Bonnie smuggle a weapon into him, and he escaped.
Oh man.
Yeah. So she got him a weapon. He escaped from jail, but they caught him and they sent him back, and then that's when all that other stuff happened.
Yeah, where he got paroled.
So you know what they said about Bonnie and Clyde? The newspapers were really starting to dig on this couple, right? So
Right.
they said John Dillinger had matinee idol good looks. Right? He was a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
And they said Pretty Boy Floyd had the best possible nickname.
Pretty Boy Floyd.
Yeah.
I like that nickname.
But you know, there was photos that was taken of Bonnie and Clyde, but particularly Bonnie.
Smoking a cigar.
Smoking that cigar. So
Yeah.
there was this photo of Bonnie smoking a cigar and holding a gun.
Yeah.
And that photo was publicized all over the newspapers back then. And so everybody believed that this is what she was. Everybody thought she was a cigar smoking, gun toting, hard ass broad. And
We know, from everything that's been read and said about her, we know she wasn't. But then when you go back and you read it all, you're like, she's one tough broad,
she was one.
So,
And they murdered 9 police officers.
9.
9. They murdered
9 police officers.
and several other people unaffiliated with the police. So how crazy is that?
Man, that's just crazy.
Yeah. So Clyde's brother, Buck,
Buck.
he was in jail while Bonnie and Clyde were doing all this stuff, but he got paroled. So when he got paroled and released from prison, his wife Blanche, they joined up with Bonnie and Clyde at a hideout in Missouri, and they went there specifically to try to convince Clyde to give himself up. Now you got to remember, folks, back then, people weren't really keen on going after women. you know, and putting women in jail or anything else. But they really, really, really wanted Clyde badly. So he went there to convince Clyde, and what happened was instead of convincing Clyde, they joined up with him.
Oh my goodness!
And they started this gang, and so basically we have two brothers now, with Bonnie and Blanche, the brother's wife.
Yeah.
And these people were tough as nails. So.
And what was the gang called?
The Barker Gang.
The Barker Gang.
No.
No?
No.
It wasn't called the Barker Gang?
I don't think so. What was it called?
With all these people joining up, they would have had to have...
I think I got the wrong name. The Parker. Nope.
Parker.
The Barrow. Barker. What's the Barker? From the Old West, the Barkers, or what?
Yeah, the Old West. Now you're back in 1887.
I told you, stop asking me questions that I don't know the answers to off the top of my head without having to look at it.
Oh my goodness.
What are you doing to me?
See this? This is what I put up daily.
So check this out, man. So they're at this hideout, right? And they're drinking, making a lot of noise. You know, it's in a little quiet community.
Right.
They're playing cards all day, screaming, shouting, and Clyde gets drunk one night and shoots off his rifle. And, you know, the neighbors, they didn't want to go and see what was going on. But, you know, one of them went to the police and said, hey, I think we got a bunch of bootleggers held up over here.
Oh, my goodness.
And you guys need to come and do something about them. You know, they back their car in like gangsters do for a quick getaway.
Mm-hmm.
So the police went there. It was a 5-man force. And this happened in April 13th, actually. And they got into a gunfight. Now check this out. Who do you think was the toughest of all of them?
Her, probably?
Bonnie picks up the bar, right? And she starts firing at all of these people. And it gave Clyde and everyone else a chance to get out of the house, right? So she's firing this weapon, and one of the officers hid behind a tree. And the bullets, these .30 caliber bullets, were hitting this tree so hard that it splintered the tree and sent splinters into his face. How crazy is that?
That's crazy. That hurt. You know that hurt.
What's even more crazy is the fact that Buck got wounded.
Mm.
So listen to this. When Buck gets wounded, he gets shot in the head. They didn't kill him. These people were like invincible, for crying out loud. He's got a big gaping hole right through the bone. You can see his brain in his head. So he's got all this blood, gaping blood coming out of him, right, with this big wound in his head. And the guy is talking, and actually later on when they escape, he's sitting there eating and talking.
With a big hole in his head.
With a big hole in his head. But he was losing so much blood that Clyde and one of the other guys dug a hole for him. They were going to bury him, even though he didn't die yet.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So and Blanche, well, when they were escaping, Blanche got hit with glass in both of her eyes, and it almost blinded her.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that was in Joplin, and in Joplin, when the police went into the hideout, they discovered a whole arsenal of weapons, and they also discovered the poems that Bonnie had written, and they found a camera with all the film in it. And this film is what became the setting for which really made Bonnie Parker stand out among everyone.
Right.
As far as the rough, tough broad that she was with the cigars.
Yep.
So without a doubt, Bonnie Parker was a badass.
Oh yeah.
Hands down, my opinion, the toughest female gangster that ever lived.
How many girls do you know that's just gonna come out of the house with a big rifle and just start cutting loose, you know, to help her
she was totally a badass, and we're going to. We've got so much to talk about. About Bonnie and Clyde. We're gonna end. This is gonna be part 1. We're gonna come back with part 2 here soon. But what do we want everybody to do, Will?
We want everybody to like, for sure. Subscribe. We really would love you guys to subscribe.
Yes,
for sure.
Please. Tell all your friends.
Yeah, there's a lot coming down the pipeline, so definitely turn on your notifications because you don't want to miss an episode, especially with this. There's so much we could talk about when it comes to Bonnie and Clyde that this could be a 2 or 3 part episode.
Yeah, I think so too. And we want to thank all our viewers, and we're so happy that you're part of our family. Remember one thing, stay right here with us if you want to be connected.
Lots of people made money before me, and lots of people came after me, but I was the only one who introduced organized crime into the world of the penny stock market, and we owned it.